Good morning, traders. This is Cynthia of Day Trade Forex bringing you a new training video showing you how to use the currency strength meter with the Forex Profit Supreme template. And this is a nice little trading system, very simple, and there's a few things I really like about it, including this line down here. When you get a white dot, that's a signal to take the trade. If it's blue in the filter, you go long, and of course the arrow and the blue candles. These are nice smooth trend candles, which you know I like. I use them in all of my trading systems. I've also added my Cynthia's Trailing EA because I like to trade with it. It's a trade manager, and it manages my trades and takes partial profit and moves the stop as it trails the price, so it's a great little trading tool. I also like my big numbers, and I also like to always use my Forex Factory calendar headlines indicator because you have to be very aware of news events. And this morning has been a crazy morning with news coming out of the US and also the Eurozone. So we just finished having some news events. There's actually more coming up, and that's actually too crazy for me, so I'm out of the market this morning and being cautious, and I knew these things were coming because I looked at the Forex Factory calendar, and also I have my little indicator. Now the thing is, this is part of my advanced systems for my own trading system, and if you have it, then this will apply to you. You can go ahead and add it to the chart. If you want to put it on a 4-hour chart, you have to change the display to 240. That's for a 4-hour chart. Then it'll show up. However, if you're using it on this template with the Forex Profit Supreme currency strength meter, it hides behind it, and there's no way to change the position of either of these indicators. That's a little bit of a problem for me because I want to see what's happening. I want to see what's coming up in the news at a glance on each currency pair chart that I'm trading. So it might be better to actually add this currency strength meter. You can find it right here and just add it to a blank chart. Okay, and then just keep going back and looking at it because I'll show you how to use it and read it. I think it's really more important that you have the Forex Factory calendar headlines indicator on each currency chart. Okay, but if you don't have the Forex Factory calendars indicator because you didn't buy my advanced breakout simple system or color ribbon surfing system, then it's all a moot point. Same goes with the Cynthia's Trailing EA. Those are part of my own advanced systems. So anyway, let's get down to how to use the currency strength meter. Now it's been a crazy morning with news out of the Eurozone and the US, economic news that really moved the market. And because there was so much news this morning, and because also tomorrow, Friday morning, is non-farm payroll, the market has gotten pretty volatile this morning, and because of that I'm being cautious and staying out of the market until it calms down a little bit. So this gives me a chance to make this hopefully quick video for you. Okay, I'm going to show you a few tricks and tips on how to set up this trading system to get the most out of it. First of all, this currency strength meter is really long. There's a lot of pairs that it's monitoring. So you want to squish it down so you can see the most of it. This can be very small because it's color. So you can squish that down, and you can squish this down. The filter, you only need to see just a tiny bit of it. Oh, look what happens. Now you have the Forex Factory calendar headline right on your chart. So that's perfect because now you can see all of the currency pairs that it's monitoring. You can see the weakest, or rather these have, look at the strength, -97. That means the Swiss franc yen, the franc yen pair, this is the pair, this column here, all the pairs, that's really sold off. That's really going down. And let's look at over here where you can see the currencies separately, because that's what you have to look at, is the strength and the weakness of each separate currency. So the Swiss franc is the first symbol in this pair, and here it is at the bottom. Is the franc is one dark red bar. Look at how weak it is, 0.6. That's very, very weak. That's about as weak as you'll ever see a currency. So they're selling the franc, okay? And against it, against the pair, they're buying the yen. Let's look at where the yen is. The yen is a lot stronger. So now let's go look at the chart. And this is a trick. Just put your cursor over here on the left under symbol. Of course, the first thing you have to do, make sure that you have all of the symbols available for your broker. So you, first of all, right mouse click and click show all, and that'll make sure that all of the symbols that the broker offers is available here in this window. So you can just scroll up and down to find the one that you want to take a look at. Now we're trying to look at the franc yen, so let's find the franc yen here. Here it is. Just left mouse click right here and drag it over onto your chart, and what that's going to do is change the chart really, really quickly. Okay, you can see why the franc is so weak. Look at this this is an hour candle here. So it means that they're selling off the Swiss franc, and they're buying the yen. Now look at the yen here. The yen is green. It's a light green, but it's fairly strong. It's kind of average. Actually, the yellow color here is very average, so this is a little bit stronger than average. So they're selling the Swiss franc and buying the yen. You can see here the Swiss franc yen, very, very strong sell-off. Look at that. Really, really selling off. So what you have to remember is that you're always going to be buying strength and selling weakness. So in this case, the CHF yen pair, the first name, the first symbol, the first currency is the Swiss franc. So it's weak. So you're going to be selling the Swiss franc. And because currency pairs are bought and sold together as a pair, if you're selling one, you're automatically buying the other. So you would look here and see, yes, the yen is much stronger. So yes, we're selling the Swiss franc and buying the yen. Now let's go take a look. Let's look at the strongest uptrend. This was the strongest downtrend pair, and let's look. Oh, the euro US dollar is very strong sell-off. So let's go take a look at the euro US dollar chart. Sorry. Just left mouse click and drag it over, and then you can change. Oh, look at that. Okay, now this is why I stayed out of the market this morning. That's crazy. There's no way you can trade that, and unless you were aware of the upcoming news events, you might have gotten caught with your pants down around your ankles, and bending over. Sorry, very crude. I'm gonna have to delete that out of this video. But that's why watching news events is so important, and you need this Forex Factory calendar headlines. It's like I said, it's in my advanced systems if you've purchased. Otherwise, you have to go to the Forex Factory calendar website itself and be very, very aware. Now we have in 10 minutes another US dollar news event coming, and then another 25 minutes later another one, and another 55 minutes later another one. So this morning has just been jam-packed with news. So pretty untradeable unless you're really on your toes, and if you're already in a trade, just see if you can lock in some profits with a stop, sometimes I would say make your stop really, really huge, but look at this, has already gone up and gone down 100 pips this morning. So you don't ever want to have a stop quite that wide. Unless you're trading in a 4-hour daily chart, then of course you would have stops that wide and you're more immune. But if you're scalping or day trading, you're very susceptible to these wild swings. You better have very short stop losses in place or profit locked in already, and be prepared for whatever happens. It could be good, it could be bad. And if you're trading in a short time frame and you know what the daily trend is, if you watch the 1 hour, you can see the color of the candles. You could have played this in each hour. You could have either ridden it up or down. So if you go down to a lower time frame and trade in the direction of the higher time frame, for instance, you could go down to a 5-minute chart and trade only in the color, trade in the direction of the color of the 1 hour candle. Okay, so now we're looking at the Euro US dollar. So the Euro US dollar right here, where is it? There it is. Big sell-off. That's a really huge sell-off. So the move is over. Basically, that's what I want to tell you. If you find these really strong values here, the move is already over. Unless you're scalping in a 1-minute, 5-minute, 15-minute chart, you can trade the retracements in that case, and I do that all the time. I drop down to the 3 lowest time frames, and if I have like some of these currencies that are really weak versus really strong all through the day, I'll just scalp in and out, in and out, in and out for fun while I'm doing other things. So that's the only way you can trade these extremely overbought or oversold pairs, is just by scalping in the 3 short time frames and just get in, get out, get in, get out. So that's for me, that's play, but you have to learn how to do that. So now let's continue here. Let's look at some more charts. So right now, let's go look at the strongest chart, New Zealand Swiss franc. So now that's one that I don't see very often and play very often, but let's see if this New Zealand Swiss franc, here it is. Left mouse click, drag it over. Okay, let's try it again. Oh, there it is. It did it. Sorry, it was just a little slow. New Zealand Swiss dollar. This says that it's the most overbought, the strongest bought pair. These are all pairs. And if you come over here and you look at the individual currencies, the New Zealand, go look at the New Zealand dollar. It's average. It's not even strong, not even weak. It's yellow. It's average strength. But it's paired against the Swiss franc, which is really, really weak. So what they're doing here is they're buying the New Zealand dollar, but they're selling the Swiss franc. So you can see this long candle. So now I hope that, and here the Forex calendar headlines, it gives you the new upcoming news events. So for some reason this pair's moved. It might have had some news in the last hour, but it doesn't show up here anymore. So let's go look at, let's combine now. Let's approach this. Let's go look at the Aussie US dollar. Now the Aussie on the meter here, it's the strongest pair. So people are buying the Aussie against what? Well, against the US dollar. Look here. And where's the dollar? Well, it's still fairly strong. So let's just go for fun. Look at that. Aussie US dollar. Left mouse click, drag it over. Okay, this looks like kind of a mess. And 1 hour chart, there's no real clear trends. So I would not be trading the Aussie US dollar unless I'm scalping, because you look at the 1 hour chart first, better I think than looking at the 4 hour chart, because here you can see a little bit more of the up and down action, and you can see it's messy. So what's happening right now? Right now the Aussie is really strong, so they would be buying the Aussie and selling the dollar, but look at the dollar switched. It's really close to the strength of the Aussie. That means it's going to be flat. There's no real strong, well, the Aussie is very strong, but the US dollar is pretty strong too, not as strong. But that just means there's going to be a lot of flatness here. There's no real direction for the market. So that currency pair wouldn't interest me at all. It's right here in the middle, but there's no movement. When they're right here in the middle, they're very, very flat. Let's look at the Euro NZD. Whoops, clicked on that. That didn't do any good. Let's look at the individual pair, or the individual currencies. The euro is very, very weak. We just saw a huge sell-off in the euro US dollar. People were selling the euro. Now, Euro NZD, let's go look at that. Let's find it here. Here it is. Drag it over. Well, you can see at a glance it's had a huge run up, but now it's coming down. So what they're doing, the euro is very, very weak. So you can see, even though the candle's blue, you can see that the price has been moving down on this 1 hour candle. Price is really going down. The euro is weak. They're selling the euro and against the New Zealand dollar, which is a lot stronger. So they're selling the euro and they're buying the dollar. So if they're selling in the euro NZD, the first currency is the euro, so they're selling that. So in the pair, they're selling the euro and they're buying the dollar. Now, this would have been a nice trade getting in long here. See, here's your white dot, but you would have waited till the filter turned blue. In a 1 hour chart, you're giving up a lot, but you could always switch down to a 15-minute chart. And I like the 15-minute chart for entries. So down here you can see this would have been your Euro NZD entry, but you would have been buying kind of on these long bars here. So it would have pulled back. If you had had your stop loss down here, you would have been okay and just waited for it to go up, 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 up. And then when you see the redness and the red filter and this comes down, then, but it's mostly the red filter that you're looking for in the red candles, so you would have exited here. So even if you had gotten in here somewhere and out somewhere, that's 31 pips. This one doesn't trend that well. The one I like to play is the Euro Aussie. That's just a great, let's go look at the Euro Aussie. Where is it on here? What's happening with the Euro Aussie? Here it is. Okay, so it's had a big move. Look at it's -80. So it's down here at the bottom of the chart. This is where the bigger players, the bigger movers are in the extreme numbers. Okay, Euro Aussie. Let's go look at that. That's one of my favorite ones to play. Really trends nicely. Here it is. Drag it over. Okay, so they've been selling the euro and at the same time they've been buying the Aussie. So look at this, the euro is very weak and the Aussie is the most strong currency pair. So they're selling off the euro, but at the same time they're buying the Aussie. Okay, so you sell weakness and you buy strength. So mostly Euro Aussie, the currency pair starts with the euro and that's the weak currency, so you're selling the euro. And the pair is paired up with the Aussie, and the Aussie is strong. So remember, when you sell one thing, you're automatically buying the other. So if you're selling the euro and it's paired with the Aussie, then you're buying the Aussie. So anyway, because it's been such a hectic news morning, it's a little hard to look at charts. Now this in a 15-minute chart looks kind of messy. Let's go back up to the 1 hour chart and see if you can see any nice trends. Well, you've had nice run-ups, nice run-downs. It's not trending that well lately, but normally it does. So I don't know. The Euro US dollar is everybody's most favorite pair to trade. The Aussie yen is also one of my favorite pairs to trade, especially, actually it's tradable almost 24 hours. So even if you can only trade during the Asian session, that's the pair that I usually like to trade if I feel like I want to trade. So we're pulling it over. We're going to look at the Aussie yen because that's just such a nice pair to trade. It gets sometimes it can get a little messy. The Aussie is either usually really strong or really weak. So here it is this morning. It's very, very strong. So that means the Aussie yen, we would have been buying the Aussie and selling the yen. Where's the yen? Yen is just average. Now, if the yen were really, really weak, like if it were red bars here, then you would see a really big run-up. But look at, we've got some kind of a range thing going on here because the yen, this morning at least, is just not that weak. It's very average. Yellow is average. So we can go look at, did we already look at the Aussie Swiss franc? We should look at the, the pound yen. They're very close together. Look at the strength is very close. So that's not a pair that you would even consider going and looking at. Save yourself the time and the trouble. Same thing with the New Zealand dollar yen, very close. There's no real strength and weakness. What you're trying to do is pit the greatest strength against the greatest weakness. So right now, the greatest strength is the Aussie, and the greatest weakness is the Swiss franc. So let's go. Here's the Aussie Swiss franc. Well, it looks like it's moved a lot, but it's not moved as much as the Euro Swiss franc. I hope I'm not losing you. I think we already looked at this one. Okay, so people have really, on this last hour, they're still buying the Aussie and they're still selling the Swiss franc. So again, it's already made the big move. When you see Euro Swiss franc, let's go look at that. It says 100%. Means the big move has already happened. There's no way you can play this unless you jump down to a 1 minute time frame and you just play it when it pulls back a little bit and then goes back up. You can play it scalping, but really when it's made this kind of a move where you see it very strong, close to 100%, or very weak, close to 100%, the big move is already over and you just don't want to be buying at the top or selling at the bottom. So somewhere right around here for going long, look at these pairs for going long, and maybe look at these pairs for going short. The pairs that are the weakest right here in the middle, they're not making much of a move. And you do need some volatility. You need some movement, especially if you know how to play the retracements. You need a lot of volatility because you need it to snap back and go back into the major direction after it pulls back a little bit. And you can always play those if you know how to. So I don't know if I've confused you more or helped you. I've given you some tips on how to use the meter, how to use the Forex Factory calendar headlines, how to squish your chart a little bit so you can get all of this onto one chart, how to change your pairs by going over here and dragging over. And the only thing I didn't go into is how to trade, but this morning is just too crazy. So we'll just leave it at that for now. This is a 23-minute video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Hope my little prior crudeness didn't offend you. Sorry about that. And anyway, tomorrow's non-farm payroll, so be very careful. And if you're already in a trade, lock in some profits. Otherwise, wait 5 minutes until after the news announcements. Well, with non-farm payroll, 10 minutes even. And then just jump in in the lower time frames, but look at the 1 hour chart, even look at the daily chart and see. You can see what the mood is. You can see what the sentiment is, the economic sentiment. And if the candles are blue, then you would use a 1 and 5 and 15 minute chart and trade long. If the candle's red, trade short. And you can jump in and jump out because the trend will continue for a long time. That's if there's no conflicting news reports. Obviously, this morning there was a lot of conflicting news reports because you had the Eurozone releasing news and you had the US dollar releasing news, and that's why this morning was so volatile. So that's why it's very important to watch the Forex Factory calendar ahead of time. And if you have already purchased my advanced systems for the breakout simple system or color ribbon surfing system, then you have this Forex Factory calendar headline indicator to put right on your chart. I can't tell you how important that is. You need to be aware of the news events. And this keeps it right in front of you, and then you can decide what to do with your trades. So thanks so much for watching. Hope you get a lot of good trades in, as Dean Malone would say, and have a wonderful day on top of that. Thanks. Talk to you later. Bye.